One of my favorite things to eat at zita stalls is actually one of the most underrated dishes in Singapore, and that is Hakka Salt-Baked Chicken. I really love this dish, and every time I see it on the menu, I would definitely order it because it's so hard to find these days in Singapore. You really only need two ingredients to make this dish. The first one being chicken. So it's fine if your chicken comes with a rib on the skin, and it also usually would come with some pieces of fat. Normally I just leave it in the chicken, but if you want to make a sauce to go with the chicken, you can remove the pieces of fat. So the next ingredient that you'll need is some coarse sea salt. So my salt here appears a bit brown. That's because I've been using this salt over and over again for this dish. So you'll need about 3 kilos of salt to make this dish because you need enough salt to cover the wok and the chicken as it's cooking. The very first thing that you'll need to do is to rub the chicken with a generous amount of coarse sea salt. So what this does is it seasons the chicken, but it also exfoliates the skin to make it very smooth once it's cooked. You want to rub the chicken inside and out with coarse sea salt and allow it to rest for about 2 hours. So meanwhile, I'll show you how you can make a ginger dipping sauce with the chicken fat from the chicken. So you want to chop the chicken fat finely and then put it in a pan. So what you want to do is set the pan over low heat and gently cook until the fat renders and becomes crispy. And then you just want to add 2 tablespoons of regular oil and 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. And then just add a blended mixture of shallots, garlic, and ginger. And just stir fry that gently just so that it loses that raw flavor and it takes on a darker color. So once 2 hours is up, you just want to wash the chicken inside and out to get rid of all the salt so that it's not excessively salty. So after rinsing away all that salt, you'll be able to see just how smooth the chicken skin has become after all that exfoliation. And now just place it on your chopping board and make a cut on one side of the backbone. So this helps to open up the chicken so that it lays flat. So this is not a traditional step, but I like doing it because when the chicken cooks in a flat layer, you actually require way less salt to completely cover and cook the chicken. So now we just need to air dry the chicken for about 2 hours. You can also do this in your fridge overnight. So now we have to prepare the salt by frying it until it becomes smoking hot. So this normally takes about half an hour of stirring, which seems like a chore, but you can easily watch a show or listen to a podcast while doing this. So basically you just want the salt to reach about 220 degrees. So now let's start wrapping the chicken. I've used tang kueh here, which is quite a popular option to flavor the chicken, but it definitely doesn't need it. So I'm wrapping the chicken in about 3 to 4 long pieces of parchment, and I'm just making sure that the chicken is completely covered so that the juices don't leak and it doesn't burn upon contact with the salt. And you also want to secure the whole parcel really securely with some twine. Now we're going to make some space for the chicken in the wok. So you just want to remove most of the salt into a separate bowl and just leave about an inch of salt in the wok. Now we want to place the chicken parcel on top and then bury the whole thing in the rest of the salt. You just want to spread the salt out really evenly so that it completely covers the chicken. You want to let the chicken cook in the salt for about 45 minutes. And at this point, you'll be able to see and smell some smoke coming out from the wok, and that's completely normal. To test if the chicken is cooked, you can just stick a thermometer in through the parchment to test. So even though this technique is called salt baking, it really is more than just baking. Because you're cooking the chicken in a sealed parchment parcel, you're basically steaming the chicken as well as roasting it. So this is very similar to the French technique called en papillote. But beyond just steaming and roasting, there is actually an element of smoking the dish. Because what happens is that the salt starts to smoke when it gets really hot. And this imparts the chicken with a really smoky aroma that is characteristic of this dish. Cooked this way, the chicken is really, really juicy, and all the juices that collect on the bottom of the parchment paper, that is actually the essence of chicken. I don't like to waste any of these juices, so I add them to my ginger dipping sauce. To me, the best part of this dish is the skin. Even though the fat has been removed and there is no extra oil or butter added to the dish, the skin manages to taste really rich. So you definitely can serve the chicken cut up like they do in most Thai restaurants in Singapore, but I realized that the traditional way is to shred it by hand.